Metroid 5 Dread is a game myself and many other gaming fans have been waiting for, and we've been waiting for nearly 20 years. The game starts off simple enough. You are headed to a planet to check out why there are issues with robots that were sent there to gather data. These robots are known as Emmy. The Emmy have somehow been made to hunt down Samus Aran, which for those not in the know is the player character. The Emmy are interesting. There are several of them, and each is a little different to the last. But what's most interesting is that you cannot harm them, at least until you get a temporary boost against them. Actually, that isn't the most interesting thing. What is, I believe, the most interesting thing is where you have to maneuver through the areas they inhabit. There's certain sections that they patrol, and when you get to them, that's when you have to think of these areas as more of a puzzle to try and get past them. The issue for me was when starting the game and you go up against them, it just isn't that fun. To start with, at least. Being caught over and over again is frustrating, and it's instant death unless you have amazing reflexes. Don't get me wrong, as I said, I enjoyed them, but it took a little while to get the right mindset to get into it. And once I did, I had no issues with the Emmy. I enjoyed getting past them and working out how to avoid them as much as possible. I even saved myself a few times from them grabbing me, and finally taking them out is really satisfying. The map is big and has lots of hidden items dotted around the place, from needed upgrades like the various suit charge beam and the iconic morph ball, to items that increase your health, missiles and so on. I really enjoyed exploring the map and finding a new item to then go back and explore a previously unexplored area. It's not unique to this game, but I feel Metroid has a wonderful sense of isolation that few games in the genre have. Even with the Emmy and the friendly AI, you still feel totally alone. The game also holds your hand a lot less than it did in Fusion. In Fusion, you were told this is where you go, and you'd have a map marker where you needed to head to, and why. In this, it's simple. You need to go to the surface, and when you speak to Adam, the AI, he says you are getting stronger and you're in a new area with the name of it. There isn't any, this is exactly where you need to go. The game, I think, feels more linear than Super Metroid, but for me it did not feel linear to a point where it felt like I was following a path. And there's plenty of opportunity to go off the beaten path and explore as you get upgrades and get lost and go the wrong way, which happened to me twice. The music helps the game with its feeling of isolation with its atmospheric music. The tone is generally ambient apart from certain aspects like boss fights or certain cutscenes. The boss music is really different to the music, as it's much more frantic and heightens the tension of facing off against a tough enemy, and yes, they are very tough. The game is probably the most difficult of Metroid games, and not just because of the Emmy. Bosses are wonderfully challenging and you feel like a badass when you kill one off. At most, you'll have to try more than once. You'll need to work out the patterns in these fights and keep your eye out for signs of the boss's attacks. Like they may move a specific way before doing a strong attack. I think the difficulty in the game is generally on point. Yes, the Emmy are tricky and getting caught is likely death, but the checkpointing is set well, so you start just outside the Emmy areas so you lose very little progress. I think visually the game is nice enough. It's not as lovely as, say, Mario Odyssey, but it has a very different approach to its visual style. This is meant to be dark, dingy, atmospheric, and it fits the bill perfectly for the part. There are other areas in there that aren't this way, and that's where the Emmy reside. In more pristine and sterile areas. It fits the bill with them being there for scientific research. The game is wonderful. I'm happy after so long Metroid Dread is finally here, and I was finally able to carry on Samus' story. My main issue with the game is, funnily enough, the Emmy. It's not that they themselves are the issue, it's more, I don't know how to put it, the idea of them. I feel like they were made to get the same reaction as you had with the SAX in Metroid Fusion. And because the SAX rarely popped up, and when it did, it was only at certain unexpected times, the Emmy fall flat on that. If that isn't what the intention was, then fair enough, but I think that's what they were going for, to fill you with dread akin to that of the SAX. Maybe it would have worked if they did something similar, but because they are specific areas and you know that you are entering them, you don't get the same reaction. It's more, for me, here we go, what does this do and how do I deal with it, instead of, oh my, I need to get the hell out of here. All in all, the game is a blast, and I highly recommend it. I don't do scores with my Pedz reviews, but if I did, this may have been my first 10.